Who Loved Tom Gordon, a pop-up book read by Miss Owen. Pre-game. Mom's knuckles were white on the steering wheel, a typical mom weekend sight. Dad weekends meant hanging out at the old house in Malden near Boston, doing normal hangout things. Mom weekends meant expeditions in the caravan. Mom and Pete and Trisha's older brother arguing up front. Trisha in the back, wondering if constant family fighting could drive you crazy. Pete wanted to live with Dad so he could go back to his old school with the flock of computer nerds like him. Up in Maine, where the three of them had moved after divorce, CompuDorks were in short supply, and Pete was miserable. He wasn't about to suck it up, soldier on, make lemonade out of lemons, or any of those things adults were so good at in theory. Trisha knew Pete better than that. He was going to keep complaining. Mom was going to massage her temples so her head wouldn't explode, and Trisha, she was going to block them out. The best method was to fantasize about Tom Gordon. To get the fantasy started, she took off her Red Sox cap and gazed at Tom Gordon's signature on the brim. Tom Gordon, the closer, was Trisha's favorite Red Sox player, and her dad's. Dad had explained the importance of the closer, the picture, who came in to save the game. Ice water in his veins. Now in the back of the caravan, Tom Gordon scene sprang up in Trisha's mind. A seed with Tom showing the playground near her house in Stanford, Maine, a little lost, buying her a hot dog in return for directions. Bliss. The only thing she didn't like about Tom Gordon was his nickname, Flash. There was nothing flashy about him, just the opposite. Number 36 stood so still and dignified on the mound, all by himself when everything was on the line. First inning. Mom slammed the back of the van shut. She'd parked in a dirt lot in western Maine, not far from the New Hampshire line. Today's outing was a 6-mile hike on the Appalachian Trail, rated moderate on the map. Mom now unfolded. We're here, we follow the trail like so, and end up at North Conway parking lot, where the van brings us back. They put on their packs. Got your ponchos? Mom asked. Blue skies, but clouds were building in the west. Check, said Trisha. Lunches? Check. Bug spray? Check, Trisha said, even though she wasn't sure about bug spray, but saying check made everything seem so crisp and optimistic. So good and safe somehow. Any questions? Mom asked, leading them to the sign Trail West. I hate this, Pete said. They stepped onto the trail. Mom and Pete started fighting right away. Something about how to make friends in junior high, yada, yada, yada. Trisha lagged behind just to tune them out. This wasn't so bad. Piney smells all around. An easy path sloping uphill, no problem. Carrying her pack, she was only 9, but tall for her age. A Y-shaped fork in the trail. North Conway, 5.2 miles to the left. Cesar Notch, 10 miles to the right. Trish said, Guys, I have to pee. Mom and Pete, already on the left-hand fork, didn't hear, too busy arguing. I said I have to pee. No response. Trisha was getting sick of them both. The last thing she heard Pete say was, I don't know why we have to pay for what you guys did wrong. She took a few steps off the narrow path to Cesar Notch and went down the middle incline, so not passing a hiker could see her and peed in the proper outdoors woman style. Then, instead of backtracking the way she'd come, Trisha had what seemed like a pretty good idea at the time. Since she was partway between the forks of the Y already, why not take a shortcut to the North Conway Trail? Piece of cake. The squabbling voices of Mom and Pete were still in range. Second inning. A real bright idea, Trisha thought, climbing the opposite slope, surprisingly steep, the little ravine, a woodsy Girl Scouty idea. At the top, she kept doing dodgy, thorny clump, eyes pointed in the direction of North Conway Trail, or where North Conway Trail should have been, because after 10 minutes or so, Trisha figures she should have reached it by now. Any human sound she heard was mosquitoes buzzing around her. The trail's right up ahead, she said out loud. No way, I'm lost. You are, whispered a terrible cold voice inside her head. A voice she'd never heard before. She walked faster. A huge fallen tree blocked her path. Trisha had her second bright idea. Why waste time detouring around it when she could wriggle through the gap between the trunk? A leafy dip in the ground. Trisha got in and wriggled. Hey, those leaves were soaking wet, but it was dark under the tree. And what was that something under her chest? A wriggly, muscular something? She looked down, inches from her face, close enough to see the pupils of its yellow eyes. A fat black snake slithered through the leaves. Trisha screamed, "Ah!" Then she bolted or tried to, banging her back against a tree, squirming frantically to get free. She hurried on, muddy and scratched, until she realized she had no idea what direction she was hurrying in. Reluctantly, Trisha backtracked, hoping to get her bearings. She lined herself up with the hollow under the fallen tree, focused on the tall pine 40 yards away. Would be north, right? And north would take her to the trail, right? Or should I wait here for human sounds?
You reaching your head.
Oh, she looks scared. Third inning. But Trisha couldn't bear to wait. She wanted this blip in her life to be over fast. Besides, but the meninges and noseums had joined the mosquitoes now, all circling her head. She set off for the tall pine. From the pine to the clump of bushes, bushes to a split rock to a white birch to a cluster of ferns to, but the path didn't come. She went from landmark to landmark, always in a straight line. She was sure, but the path didn't come. What came were the meninges, noseums, and mosquitoes hungry for her blood. Trisha opened her pack and went to the contacts. Poncho, check. Lunch, check. Water, soda, suntan lotion, check. But the bug spray. The sky darkened. Clouds covered up the blue, and the whole forest changed. Hey! Trisha shouted. Anybody out there? Anybody hear me? Silence. Her voice rose from the shout to a scream. Somebody! I'm lost! There she said it. The admission made her voice all weepy. Help! More silence. Why had she left the path? On the path you were safe. I don't know why we have to pay for what you guys did wrong. Trisha imagined the developments in the outside world. Mom getting all worried, anxious, calls to the Forest Service, everyone's day turned upside down. Come on, Trisha, find the trail before all the fuss gets rolling. She ripped through the woods, forgetting about the landmarks, waving away those horrible bugs with her Red Sox cap. Only the woods would get harder to rip through, choked with underbrush and broken up by steep ravines. Her voice called out, somehow detached from her mind, "Help! I'm lost!" She tore through